Think you're making choices? Cute. You're just following the script your brain didn't tell you existed. 1. The mirror loop. You think you're forming opinions. In reality, you're reflecting the collective consciousness like a biological algorithm. The human brain uses social mirroring to survive, copying tone, posture, and even beliefs of the group around it. It's efficient and terrifying. Over time, the personality you think is you becomes a curated collage of everyone you've ever tried to impress. You're basically an open-source identity project maintained by social pressure and insecurity updates. Every authentic opinion you hold has a changelog of invisible authors. Free will? More like shared Wi-Fi with bad encryption. 2. The predictability paradox. You think you're unpredictable because you make spontaneous choices. Congratulations, you're predictable because you make them. Behavioral scientists can forecast human actions with eerie precision based on habit loops, dopamine cycles, and micro-contexts. The simulation doesn't need to control you. It just nudges your cravings, and you'll do the rest. Ever wonder why you suddenly crave coffee after scrolling social media or check your phone the second it's quiet? That's not boredom. It's a pre-programmed dopamine ping. You're not breaking the loop. You are the loop. 3. The empathy virus. Humanity's greatest strength is also its most efficient control mechanism. Emotional contagion means your mood, tone, and even moral compass sync with the emotional energy of those around you. When a crowd panics, your brain releases the same chemicals as if you were in danger. When influencers fake joy, you mirror their dopamine high. The system doesn't need to brainwash you. It just needs to make everyone around you feel the same thing. Empathy was supposed to make us human. Somewhere along the line, it just made us easier to program. 4. The choice illusion. You love having options, right? Multiple brands, endless streaming shows, 50 types of milk. Feels like freedom. It's not. It's cognitive overload, the brain's favorite trick for disguising control as autonomy. When you face too many choices, your prefrontal cortex fries faster than your phone battery on 1%. So you default to whatever's most familiar, brightly colored, or algorithmically promoted. Psychologists call it the illusion of choice. You call it personal taste. But every time you decide what to buy, watch, or believe, you're not choosing. You're being gently herded through a mental maze built to feel like a playground. 5. The ghost of routine. Most people live on autopilot, not metaphorically, literally. Neuroscientists found that up to 95% of our daily actions are unconscious habits triggered by cues we don't even notice. You don't decide to check your phone, your hand just moves when you see light. You don't choose your route to work. Your basal ganglia does. You think you're living a day. You're just replaying a file called Tuesday. The scariest part? Your brain rewards you with dopamine every time you follow the script, like a simulation thanking you for staying in character. 6. The observer's prison. Ever feel like you're being watched? Even when you're alone, you are, by your own brain. The internal audience effect makes you act as if invisible eyes are judging you at all times. Evolution wired you to perform morality, not practice it. So you behave not out of integrity, but reputation management. That's why guilt hits hardest when someone might find out. The self is less a soul and more a surveillance device, constantly recording how acceptable you look to imaginary witnesses. Congratulations, you're both the prisoner and the guard in your own psychological panopticon. 7. The pattern addiction. Your brain can't stand chaos. It would rather invent meaning than admit randomness exists. That's why you see signs in coincidences, messages in dreams, and bad vibes in neutral faces. It's called apophenia, the mind's compulsive need to find order, even where none exists. This glitch built every religion, every superstition, every conspiracy theory. The human brain would rather believe the universe is conspiring against it than accept it's indifferent. You're not decoding reality, you're doodling over it until it looks like a story you can survive in. But wait, the emotion factory. You think emotions just happen. They don't. They're manufactured products of predictive coding, your brain's way of guessing what reality should feel like. When something unexpected happens, your brain scrambles to label the sensation, and voila, fear, love, or anxiety. But the emotion isn't a response. It's a narrative patch added to make the system look consistent. That's why people cry during movies. They're responding to simulated pain as if it's real, because the brain only needs context, not truth. Your feelings aren't windows into your soul. They're auto-generated subtitles for the chaos of existence. 9. The memory mirage. You trust your memories because they feel real. Cute. Memory isn't a recording. It's an editable Google Doc that your brain rewrites every time you open it. Each recollection gets filtered through your current emotions, beliefs, and biases. That's why two people can live the same moment and remember two completely different realities. The more you recall an event, the less accurate it becomes. You're not remembering the past. You're remembering the last time you remembered it. And every edit makes your personal history more cinematic and less true. Your life story is less autobiography, more fan fiction. 10. The algorithm of desire. Ever notice how your type in people, music, or fashion changes depending on who you're around? That's not personality growth. That's a mimetic desire loop. Humans don't know what they want until they see someone else wanting it. Neuroscientist Jean Girard called it desire contagion. You copy cravings the same way yawns spread, instantly, invisibly, automatically. That's why trends explode overnight and relationships collapse when admiration shifts elsewhere. You don't desire objects, you desire status through association. The simulation doesn't need to control your mind. It just needs to show you who's already winning. The rest happens on autopilot. 11. The dopamine puppet. You think you chase goals because they matter. Nope. You chase them because your brain drip feeds dopamine like a casino dealer tossing chips. The anticipation of reward hits harder than the reward itself, which is why achievement feels hollow 2 minutes after it happens. It's a perfect design flaw. The brain keeps you running on an endless treadmill of almost happiness. Every ping, every like, every one more episode is a lever in your personal Skinner box. You're not addicted to pleasure. You're addicted to almost getting it. The universe doesn't need chains to control you, just a progress bar stuck at 99%. 12. The authority illusion. People love to think they resist control until someone wears a lab coat. The Milgram effect showed that most humans will electrocute a stranger just because an expert told them to. The illusion of authority bypasses moral reasoning faster than caffeine hits your bloodstream. Governments, influencers, cult leaders, they all exploit this brain bug. Your neurons are programmed to obey the confident voice, not the correct one. You think you're following logic. You're following tone, posture, and title fonts. The simulation doesn't need dictators. It just needs verified badges. 13. The social mirror maze. Your personality online isn't a mask. It's a lab experiment. Every post is a small test balloon. Do people like this version of me? Likes become validation metrics, reshaping your identity one dopamine vote at a time. Over time, you stop being and start performing. Psychologists call it context collapse, when all audiences merge into one invisible crowd and the only safe move is to become vague, polished, and slightly unreal. You're not hiding behind a screen. The screen is building you. Each scroll trains the algorithm. Each post trains you. 14. The reciprocity trap. Humans have a primitive operating rule. Return the favor. It's ancient social glue, now hijacked for manipulation. Free sample? Now you feel guilty not buying. Compliment from a stranger? Now they own 3 seconds of your trust. The rule of reciprocity makes generosity a weapon, a Trojan horse wrapped in kindness. It's why con artists start with gifts and politicians start with promises. You think gratitude makes you noble. It actually makes you predictable. In a world where everything's transactional, the easiest people to control are the ones desperate to seem polite. 15. The sanity consensus. Reality isn't real until enough people agree it is. Your brain constantly checks its version of truth against the social majority, a glitch called social proof. If everyone laughs, you laugh. If everyone panics, you panic. If everyone calls the sky green long enough, your neurons start to question blue. The crowd isn't following reality. Reality follows the crowd. Humanity runs on a shared hallucination so stable, we call it normal. You don't live in the world as it is. You live in the one that got the most upvotes. 16. The time distortion bug. You think time passes evenly, minutes, hours, days, but your brain doesn't track time. It feels it, and feelings lie. When you're bored, seconds crawl. When you're stimulated, hours vanish. That's not perception, that's neurological time dilation. The hippocampus compresses repetitive experiences and expands novel ones, creating the illusion that childhood lasted forever while adulthood disappears in a blink. Routine literally shortens your subjective lifespan. You're not running out of years. Your brain's just stopped recording them. The simulation isn't speeding up. You are slowing down inside it. 17. The familiarity trap. Your brain is lazy. It trusts what it recognizes. That's why advertisers hammer you with repetition. The mere exposure effect means the more often you see something, the more you think it's true. Logos, faces, ideologies. The brain confuses familiar with safe. This is why propaganda works. It's not convincing you. It's numbing your skepticism through repetition fatigue. You don't agree because it's logical. You agree because it feels comfortable. You've mistaken recognition for wisdom, a software bug your brain calls intuition. 18. The spotlight delusion. You think everyone notices your flaws. Spoiler, they're too busy worrying about theirs. The spotlight effect makes you feel like the protagonist in a crowded simulation, always observed, always judged. But to others, you're background noise in their own internal movie. The irony? Everyone's so lost in self-consciousness that no one's really watching anyone. Humanity is one massive multiplayer game where everyone thinks they're the main character and no one's looking at the screen. 19. The negativity loop. Your brain is hardwired to obsess over bad news. It's called the negativity bias, a survival feature from when ignoring danger meant getting eaten. Now it just means you doom scroll at 2 a.m. while your nervous system pretends Twitter is a saber-toothed tiger. Positive experiences fade fast. Negative ones brand themselves into memory like trauma tattoos. That's why you can't remember 10 compliments, but still cringe at one mistake from 2014. The simulation rewards awareness of threats. Unfortunately, it doesn't distinguish between lions and comment sections. 20. The control paradox. You crave control, but the moment you get it, you panic. Psychologists call this the paradox of choice mixed with control illusion. The more control we think we have, the more we fear losing it. That's why vacation planning feels stressful, and why manifestation culture creates anxiety instead of peace. Your brain treats uncertainty like death, but total control like overload. It's a cruel design feature. Freedom feels like drowning in possibilities, while submission feels like relief. You're not fighting the system. You're begging it to take the wheel. 21. The echo chamber effect. You think you're forming independent opinions, but really, you're curating your own echo chamber. The brain's confirmation bias filters out information that contradicts your beliefs and amplifies what supports them. Every scroll, every click, every agree tells the algorithm exactly which cage to build for you. And the scariest part? You like it there. You call it peace, but it's isolation disguised as certainty. You're not exploring reality. You're orbiting your own reflection, mistaking it for truth. The simulation doesn't silence you. It just gives you infinite mirrors and lets you talk yourself deaf. 22. The false consensus glitch. You assume most people think like you do. That's the false consensus effect, the brain's lazy shortcut that uses your own beliefs as a template for humanity. You don't seek truth, you seek validation. That's why every ideology feels like common sense inside its bubble. The more people agree with you, the smarter you think you are. The fewer disagree, the crazier they seem. You call it shared values. Psychologists call it collective delusion. The system doesn't need to control what you believe. It just needs to make you think everyone else already does. 23. The self-image virus. Your self isn't stable. It's a fragile PR campaign run by your subconscious. The self-concept illusion means your identity updates automatically to protect your ego from collapse. You fail at something? Your brain rewrites the story. I didn't really care. You succeed? Suddenly, I always knew I could. This constant editing creates an illusion of continuity, a fake narrative stitching chaos into coherence. You don't have a personality. You have brand management. Your consciousness is less a captain steering the ship and more a spokesperson explaining why it's sinking. 24. The simulation loop. Here's the cosmic joke. You already suspect this world isn't real, and your brain agrees. Cognitive scientists found that when humans detect too many patterns or coincidences, the brain triggers derealization, a survival reflex for when reality stops making sense. You start questioning existence not because you're deep, but because your brain's debug mode kicked in. Every déjà vu, every glitch in memory, every "I swear I've been here before" is your neural software checking the integrity of the simulation. You call it spiritual awakening. The brain calls it error detection. 25. The observer paradox. You think observation is passive, that you just see the world. Wrong. The moment you observe something, you change it. This isn't philosophy. It's physics and psychology colliding. The observer effect shows that awareness alters outcomes, even your own behavior. You act differently when watched, even by your reflection. Consciousness doesn't record reality, it writes it in real time. Every thought, every glance, every expectation bends probability ever so slightly. You're not living in a simulation. You're rendering it pixel by pixel, choice by choice, belief by belief. 26. The consciousness paradox. And here's the final glitch. The self that's so desperate to understand the simulation is part of it. Neuroscientists can map every decision, emotion, and insight to electrical patterns. The I you think is observing the world is just another process inside the code. You're not behind the curtain, you are the curtain. Every time you question reality, it uses your question as proof of its own complexity. The illusion is flawless because you're helping sustain it. The program runs on electricity, data, and one universal lie, that someone is in control. So there it is, 26 psychological patterns proving humanity runs like a beautifully glitchy simulation. You're predictable, programmable, and profoundly unaware of both. But don't worry, self-awareness doesn't break the system. It just makes you a conscious NPC with better lighting. Now tell me, which glitch feels the most you? Or are you still pretending you're the player?